Hello staff, I am here today to talk to you about bullying. This is going to be one of our pre-orientation workshops. So I'd like you to get a pen and paper handy or your laptop or whatever so you can take notes, mark down any questions, and the proof that you watched this will be that you email me one of your questions and I'll email you back and answer it and we can have a little bit of a dialogue. So please be prepared to do that. This is important information. We're talking about bullying. Which is kind of a hot button word right now, and it gets thrown around a lot with a lot of people who I don't think really understand what it means. So let's just jump right in. People tend to throw around the word bullying for anything where their kid has feelings hurt or someone says something mean to them or someone disagrees with their opinion. They're bullying me. That's not what bullying is. So we're going to talk about what bullying is today, how it looks at camp sometimes, and what we can do to prevent it, and what we can do if it happens, because I'm never going to claim that we're never going to have any bullies anywhere at camp. That's unreasonable. So, first of all, there has to be certain markers present for bullying to exist. They are, and if I'm looking down, it's because my laptop's over here with my notes. The markers of bullying have to include a bunch of things. One of them is an imbalance of power. So if it's like two kids about the same age, same size, same intellectual abilities, it's probably not bullying. If you see the strange person walking behind me, that's my husband. I'm in his studio. He's cleaning up. Bear with us today. So there has to be an imbalance of power. Now, there is an imbalance of power if it's a counselor to a camper, because that counselor has all the power in that situation. It's an imbalance of power if it's a big kid to a little kid, or an older kid to a younger kid, or even a typical kid to a camper with special needs. So those are all examples of imbalance of power. The next thing, and it can be subtle too, because some of those power dynamics you don't really see. They're not like blatant. They're like, I'm more powerful than you. That's not really how it works. Sometimes you'll see like a popular kid, a kid who like is friends with everybody, and they can, be picking on a not quite so popular kid, and that is a subtle imbalance of power, but it still is an imbalance of power. We also, there should be present the intent to harm. So if it's meant like a kid, I'm gonna hurt your feelings. I don't like you, so I'm gonna hurt your feelings. I don't like you, I'm gonna push you off that swing. There has to be an intent to harm. If it's an accident, it's not bullying. There has to be sometimes the threat of further aggression. So let's say I did push you off that swing and then I came up to you and I was like, I'm going to do that again if you tell anybody. That is threat of further aggression. That means it could and probably will happen again in the future. What else needs to be present? Oh, there we go. We have to think about the intensity and the duration of the incident. So was it like a very intense one-time like fight between two kids? If it was that, then it's probably not bullying. However, if those kids are fighting every day, or if one kid is beating up on another kid every day, or it's happening over and over and over again, we have to think about the duration. If it goes on for a long time and is repeated, then that's one of our red flags. We also need to look at the victim vulnerability. So any kind of kid who's different, a kid who might not be so sportsy, a kid who might not be as high functioning as some of the other kids in the group, a kid who might be a little socially inept, a kid who might be just like different. That is a kid who is vulnerable to bullying. We also need to look at the lack of support for the victim. So a kid who may not have someone safe at home to talk to about it, a kid who may not have a good relationship with a counselor at camp or a program director at camp. That indicates lack of support for the victim. So it also could indicate sometimes where, you go and tell someone that something happened and they go, oh, it's nothing, it's fine. Don't worry about it. They won't do it again. That is lack of support for the victim. So that is, it also is a red flag for bullying. So at least a couple of those markers have to be present for a situation to be considered bullying. 'Cause bullying is pretty common. And even if it's not specifically bullying, what you just have to kind of think about in your head is that many of our kids have been exposed to some kind of childhood violence or abuse. I was looking at a American Academy of Pediatrics study, and it says that 60.6% of children aged 0 to 17 years experienced some kind of or witnessed some kind of childhood violence or abuse. So they saw someone get hurt, they saw someone hit someone else, they were hit themselves. 60%, that's 6 out of 10. So let's say you have a group of 10, that's 6 of your kids have either seen childhood abuse or had it happen to them. So think about all of those things when you are working with kids in general or at camp. So what does it look like? What does bullying look like? There's a lot of forms it can take. It can take the form of verbal bullying, kids making fun of each other. It can take a form of social exclusion or isolation. We do see that a lot. That is something we see a lot at camp, where you can't play with us. Or she would, like, these 3 girls were best friends this day, and then the next day they're not anymore, and like 2 of them are best friends still, but the other one is not anymore. So there's that there's an isolation, there's that exclusion. Keep an eye out for that. We also see physical bullying. That's any physical bullying: hitting, pushing, shoving, etc. Hitting and shoving and pushing are like all the same thing. Kicking, there we go. Biting, those are all behaviors that we can sometimes see. People bully others through lies and false rumors. That happens in our more middle school aged kids. I was in my office, and outside on the basketball court, I all of a sudden hear one of our middle school program kids go, "So who do you guys think is the weirdest kid in our class?" And I was like, no. So I went outside and I reamed it. I was like, no. That is not how we talk to each other or about each other here at camp. We do not do that. Who do you guys think is the weirdest? I was like, stop. No. So anyway, lies or false rumors. So like, let's say I hadn't intervened and like 2 of the other kids were like, oh, that kid's so weird. Then they're starting to talk behind that kid's back. They might be spreading lies about that kid. They're bullying that kid without that kid even being there. Insane. So lies and false rumors, keep an ear open. We also have kids that take stuff from other kids, though. So having money or other things taken or damaged. So like a lot of our kids bring dollars for the camp store, and a lot of kids keep those dollars in their backpack. So we have to be aware of kids whose money disappears from their backpack. We have to be aware of kids who are going frequently to the table, frequently on their way to the bathroom. For those of you guys who have been here in past summers, it is definitely a different setup this year. We have different pods of where the campers are going to sit. So just be aware of, keep an eye open as you're passing by picnic tables to make sure that no kids are like lurking around the picnic tables, rifling through people's bags for the canteen dollars. I have also seen a kid take someone else's something that they had, like this summer we've got these like spray fans, and break it. Just break it right in front of them. And that is another red flag, something that bullying looks like. Threats or being forced to do things, such as you have to clean up my lunch every day this week, or you can't play with us. Okay, that's making a kid do something they don't want to do, they shouldn't have to do, in order to allow them to play with you. There are also things like racial bullying, sexual bullying, and cyberbullying. Racial bullying includes any kind of racial slurs. We do have some of our campers use words that are not appropriate for them to use around each other or around our sleepaway campers, and vice versa. So we have to just keep our ears open and make sure we're reinforcing with our campers. We use positive language at camp. Positive language at camp. Build each other up. Don't break each other down. It's not what we do here. You can steal that, by the way. We don't do that here. It's not how we do it. Sexual bullying includes, and again, I hear it in middle school, calling other girls whores or sluts, or like, why is she wearing that? Or like stuff like that is not okay. It's not okay. And then of course, cyberbullying. I will tell you, I fired somebody because they started a Twitter flame war with another staff member. And I was like, you think we don't see your social media? Like, what's happening? You don't get to do that. So be very careful about what you post on social media, and don't start mean things with other staff members, please. It also happens with campers. We don't necessarily see it directly at camp because they're technically not supposed to have their cell phones. We are cracking down on that this year, by the way. So if a kid has his phone out, we are taking it. I will deal with the parent. Don't worry about it. I'll take care of it. I'll be the hammer. It's fine. But we will take cell phones. But there is definitely cyberbullying out there with the kids. Plus, there's also that subtleness of just simply comparing yourself to other people that you see on Insta or other people that you see on Snapchat, and just feeling bad about yourself. Oh, did you see his Insta last night? Like, they were at this party and I wasn't invited. And keep your ears open for stuff like that in conversations, especially with kids of phone age. That's like 5th grade, 10 years old and up. All right. So those are the forms that bullying can take. Now here is where we come to the differences between teasing and bullying, between rough play and bullying. And this, I think, is very important for you to know and be able to tell the difference. Teasing does not equal bullying. Rough play does not equal bullying. We just talked about that earlier, about what the markers are that have to be there for bullying to be present. So the differences are this. First of all, there's that power dynamic. If it's kids who are equal, like 2 3rd grade boys, don't worry about it too much. Just listen and intervene when there's behaviors that need intervention, but don't go, oh, they're bullying each other. Don't worry about it, okay? If it is, and the intention. Because again, kids make mistakes all the time. I mean, I make mistakes all the time. We say stupid stuff all the time. And it can hurt other people's feelings. It doesn't mean I necessarily am out to hurt your feelings or they are out to hurt each other's feelings. This is something that is important to me that we all do at camp, and that's give each other the benefit of the doubt. It's important for kids to do it. It's important for counselors to do it. It's important for program staff to do it, to make sure we are all giving each other the benefit of the doubt. Don't ever assume that someone was out to hurt you. Give them the benefit of the doubt. They must not have known that would hurt my feelings. It's just, if you can get that right in your head, if you can get comfortable with that in your head, your life in general is going to be a lot easier. Think the best of people. So we're talking about intention. That was what we were talking about. Dignity versus humiliation. So are they teasing each other to play, or or is one teasing another one to like embarrass them? Are they pushing each other like when they're playing soccer or football, or are they pushing each other to embarrass them in front of other kids? That marks a difference between rough play or teasing and bullying. Is it a mutual thing, or is it like one kid or a couple of kids directed at a target? Like if a kid calls another kid like a nickname or something, the other kid calls them a nickname back, that's mutual. That's 2 kids just having fun. But if it's like one kid talking to the other kid and calling them that nickname over and over and over again, and the other kid's not really participating, looking uncomfortable, that's a red flag. Keep an eye out for that. Do both of the kids laugh? Or does just one of them laugh and the other one feels bad? If they're both laughing, we're fine. Unless, of course, they're using negative language, in which case you need to intervene in their behavior, but that's a different situation than like intervening in a bullying situation. We also, is it a small part of their connection, or is it a large part of their connection? Like, is it just like they tease each other once a day and the rest of their time they're friends and they're playing together nicely? Or is that their whole relationship is teasing each other or one teasing the other? Is it innocent versus sinister? Sinister is a fun word to say. And does it stop when asked or continue? So if one of the kids goes, hey, I don't like it when you call me that nickname, and the other kid keeps going with that nickname, then it's a problem situation and needs an intervention. If one kid says, hey, it hurts my feelings when you call me that, and the other kid goes, oh, I'm so sorry, we're fine. Or if another kid says, hey, stop, and the other kid stops, we're cool. If the other kid does not stop, then we need to have a talk about, stopping when someone asks you to stop doing something. I talk about that all the time with my own kids. All right, so there's a cool quote from Francis M. Carlson that says, inappropriate rough play. Children's faces are free and easy, their muscle tone is relaxed, and they're usually smiling and laughing. So just keep an eye on body language, keep an eye on facial expression, tone of voice, posture, tension, all of that stuff. You just have to keep an eye on that kind of stuff. All right, moving on. So we talked a lot about what we need to look for, examples of what we're looking for. Now, how do we prevent this? How do we prevent bullying from happening? So first, it's important to build your relationship with your kids right from the start. Build your relationship with your campers. Learn their names right away. Keep an eye out for power imbalances. Keep an eye out for kids who know each other from school. And just make sure you're being aware of all of those things. It's also important to show them that you are aware of all of those things. So it might just be a side conversation. Hey, I noticed that you guys know each other from school. How do you guys get along? Is everything cool? And they might be like, yeah, we're cool. It's friends. I don't really know them that well, or we are not cool. They punch me in school like every day. So then you've built that relationship with the kid. You've gotten the information that you need to make sure that you're intervening in the situation. So we were talking about always social problem solving skills, and that is walking kids through how to solve social issues. And those are skills that I think we are all continually learning and working on. So we want to find concrete ways to teach kids the skills they need to solve the problems. You teach them directly related to forms of bullying, verbal, physical, and indirect. So, hey, what would you do if someone just came up and hit you out of nowhere? Ask them that question. And it could be on over lunch. It could be on the basketball court while you're just bouncing the ball. It could be on a hike. Could be transitioning from one area to the other, because we have a unique opportunity, and in my opinion, we have a mission to help kids be better when they leave us. We want them to leave more smarter. We want them to leave more socially aware. We want them to leave with more skills. We want them to leave better human beings than they were when they came to camp. I want every kid to feel like we are aware of them, that we understand them, that we want to know them, that we love them, and that we want to help them get better at things. So these are the opportunities that we have. It's one thing to be a fine counselor. Keep the kids alive, feed them, make them have water, put sunblock on them, get them to do activities. That's average. That is an average, normal, fine counselor. An outstanding counselor will take opportunities to help kids build their skills. And that's what I'm asking all of you to do. I don't expect you to be fine, average counselors. That's not the people we hire. We hire people who are going above and beyond and teaching skills. So moving on to what those skills are. We want to help kids understand and deal with their feelings. And a lot of that is just telling them what they're feeling. Because sometimes, especially little kids, they can't put words to what they're feeling. They're in the corner going like this, and you can go over and say, hey, you look really mad. You have given them that feeling word. You can never assume that kids know those words. You can't assume that. Even 3rd, 4th graders sometimes don't know those feeling words. They have never learned them. Maybe their parents didn't teach them, or maybe their parents weren't taught to teach them. Maybe their schools are not doing a lot of character education because they're focused on academics. You cannot assume that kids know to express what they're feeling to you. So give them their feeling. And that kid might go, I'm not feeling mad, I'm feeling frustrated. And it doesn't matter that you got it wrong, because that kid knows that you're paying attention and you're noticing them. So all you have to do is talk to them, build that relationship. And then you can say, oh yeah, well, I'm so sorry you're frustrated. How can I help? And then talk them through how to get through that frustration. What's frustrating them? How can you problem solve it? All right. We want to encourage impulse control and self-calming. A lot of times a kid will just take a toy they want, even if another kid's playing with it. So keep an eye out for that. If you see that happen, intervene. I don't expect everybody to just sit back and watch things happen. I expect you to get there and intervene in situations that could escalate. So because you want to nip them in the bud. You don't want a kid snatching another kid's toy to escalate into a full-blown pushing fist fight, which it will, and it can. So you have to be aware. That's impulse control. Self-calming, take 5 deep breaths. We're actually going to do a whole orientation workshop on self-calming, figuring out sources of stress. And that's for you, for the counselor, because we will all be under a lot of stress this summer. Feeling it right now, baby. So we're going to do that workshop. But go on the internet and find 5 calming techniques that you can use with kids, and then help them learn how to do it when they're frustrated or angry. We want to help children practice listening skills. That means not interrupting. That means not thinking about the next thing you want to say while the other person is talking. That means just listening. Take it in. That means even sometimes repeating back what you just heard. So I hear that you were really frustrated when you got out in Gaga. I understand that. I get that. It is frustrating. It's about being empathetic. I'm going to link you a video about empathy that I really, really need you to watch. I think I put it in the staff group, but I really need you to watch this video on empathy, because it is one of the key skills that counselors need. And not just counselors, any staff. Okay. We also want to practice coming up with solutions to problems. Okay, dude, so next time you get out of Gaga, which it's going to happen. If you play Gaga, you're going to get out of Gaga. It's just life. How are you going to handle your frustration? Okay, I'm going to count to 10. Fabulous. Great. Let's try it the next time. And then follow through. So that kid gets out in Gaga, you see it happen, you get there and you go, okay, remember last time we talked about this? You're going to count to 10 and see how you feel afterwards and come tell me. So that's, again, being an excellent counselor is following up on a solution you put into place in the first place. We also want to help them anticipate consequences. All right, so what happens when you hit somebody? What's going to happen if you are frustrated? What's going to happen if like they're teasing you and you hit them first? What's the consequence for that? I'm going to get in trouble. Yes, you are going to get in trouble when it really was the other person who did the wrong thing, right? Right. So what should you do if someone is teasing you? I should come tell you. Yes, that's exactly right. I got something in my throat. I'm sorry. We also want to help them kind of be aware and notice that violent solutions to problems have harmful consequences. So what happens if you hit him in the face? Well, it's going to really hurt him. Yeah, and it might make him what? And then you can lead them to, it might make him bleed, it might give him a bruise, it might make him really sad, it might, walk them through the process, ask the questions. All right. We also want to encourage kids to have empathy skills. So I'm going to link you that Brene Brown video, which I love. We're going to talk about empathy when we talk about communication during our first orientation workshop on Saturday. Not our first one. It's in there somewhere. So empathy skills can be cultivated by encouraging kids to label their own feelings and tell each other how they feel about the situation. It hurts my feelings when you tell me you're not going to play with me. I feel sad when I see you two playing on the swings and I'm not playing with you. Or it makes me feel frustrated when I ask you if I can play with you and you say no. So I feel, insert feeling, when, insert concrete situation. And then you can also have them use a solution to the problem. I feel sad when I see you guys playing on the swing set without me. I would rather that we all play together. I would rather that when I ask you, you say yes. So you can give them the lines. You can give them the lines, they can say them because they all take practice. Everything takes practice. So we also want to discuss how kids who are bullied might feel. We want to make sure that we are understanding and helping kids understand that everyone is different and that differences are something to be respected, not something to make fun of, not something to tolerate. We want to respect people for differences and recognize that differences are what make our group at camp, our staff at camp, our world at camp. Our differences are what makes us special. Our differences are what makes the environment so rich. So help your kids understand that. We also want to remind kids how they would feel in that situation. So let's say, like if a kid does like snatch a toy away from another kid, which is going to happen like 8,000 times, you're just going to sit them down and say, how would you feel if, someone took your toy? And then they'll tell you. And you say, well, how do you think that the other person felt when you took their toy? And they're going to tell you the same way they would have felt. So how about next time we ask first? We also want to model empathy. We have to model all of these things because we can't expect kids to do stuff that we are not doing. We can't expect kids to speak in a respectful way if we are not speaking in a respectful way. We can't expect kids to solve problems in a constructive way if we can't solve problems in a constructive way. If you're having an issue with your co-counselor, if you're having an issue with a specialist, if you're having an issue with any other staff member, and you're snipping behind their back, or you're yelling at them in front of the kids, or you're fighting, or whatever it is, that is not good modeling. And those kids pick up on that like that. They are hyper aware of what the staff is doing because they admire you. You are their role models, so they're watching every single thing you do. No pressure. All right, moving on. We also want to teach kids assertiveness skills. And I want to teach counselors assertiveness skills. There's a difference between being assertive and aggressive. There's a difference between being passive and assertive. A passive counselor watches that kid take that toy from the other kid and doesn't do anything. An aggressive counselor watches that kid take a toy from another kid and runs over there and yells at the kid who took the toy. And an assertive counselor sees that happen, walks over and has a conversation about why it happened, why it's not good, and what the kids can do better next time. That's an assertive counselor. So we have those 3 levels. I expect you all to be assertive counselors. That is my expectation of you. All right. For kids, we want to teach kids to ask for and offer things to each other in an open-ended way. Hey, can I play with that toy? Nice, right? And that other kid might say no. No, you can't. I'm playing with it. Okay, that's fine. And that other kid might have to get over and go get another toy, right? If you want to teach that other kid about sharing, you talk to them. Hey, I noticed that you said no, that they can't play with that other toy. How about I set a timer? You play for 5 minutes, they play for 5 minutes. Or how about I get you another one? If it's like a basketball or something on the court, how about I get you another one? Or how about we all play a game together? You have to be creative problem solvers. And you have to show that to the kids so that they in the future can be creative problem solvers as well. All of this is setting your life up for being a little easier and helping the kids do better so that you don't have to work as hard. All right, so we want to teach the kids to ignore what's called routine provocative peer behaviors, because kids they're scientists, man. They are always looking for ways to make other kids react or to make you react. They're always looking for it. They're smart, man. They know what buttons to push. So if you can teach your campers to ignore that button pushing, great. If you can teach yourself to ignore that button pushing, even better. And it's hard, especially if you're tired or cranky. It's hard to ignore the button pushing, but again, it will make your job a lot easier if you ignore just like the random weird stuff that kids do to get a reaction out of you. If you can teach your campers that, awesome. Just ignore him. Yeah, I know, but he keeps calling me, I don't know if I was wearing my glasses. He keeps calling me glasses. I just ignore him. Is it hurting anybody? No, it's just annoying. Just ignore him. It'll go away. All right, so that's the stuff that we're teaching kids to help prevent bullying. We want to teach them assertiveness. We want to teach them empathy. We want to talk through situations that are not great, that are interpersonal conflicts, and we want to model that positive behavior ourselves in our interpersonal relations. It's good to tell kids how you are feeling. It is absolutely a good skill because it's modeling how they can tell each other how they're feeling, or they can tell you how they're feeling. If you say, dudes, I am real frustrated right now because every time I try to get your attention, you just keep talking to each other. I'm feeling very frustrated. How do you think we can fix it? Because they don't want you to feel frustrated. They like you. And even if they don't like you, you kind of have to assume that they do. Yeah? Because they don't have to like you. They just have to make sure they have to respect you, and you have to make a connection with them, and you have to love them. That is the whole point. You have to love them. And if you love them and you have their best interests at heart and you want them to make them better people, they will make that connection with you and all will be well, even if things go wrong sometimes. All right, moving on. Supervision is key. The first step in supervision is being able to identify potential victims and potential bullies. So that is looking out for all those signs we talked about earlier. Imbalance of power, a kid who might be a little different, a kid, like a little socially awkward. Just keep your eyes out for that stuff. A kid who's super aggressive, a kid who's super competitive could potentially show some bullying tendencies. So keep your eyes open for that right from the start. Don't get a prejudged notion in your heads, because the biggest kid can be the gentlest giant. But just kind of be aware. Be aware of it. All right, you see kids sitting by themselves? Be aware of it. Go talk to them. Say, hey, what's going on? How you doing? It might just be that they needed a couple minutes, because I know there's a lot of kids out there who just need a couple minutes to recharge. But it might be that they had their feelings hurt. So say, hey, what's going on? Make sure you get down to their level. Whatever they're doing, you get there. All right? Okay, so we need to be a keen observer of behavior. So where do bullying incidents tend to happen? And the answer is anywhere a staff member is not. Bathrooms, changing areas, on the way to and from activities, lunchtime, getting food in Schweiger. All those places are prime spots for bullying. Also, unstructured activities like the swing set. You got to pay attention to what's going on in the swing set. Magic Forest, Blind Old Owl. Anywhere where there's an unstructured playtime, basketball court. You have to be really aware of what the kids are doing, what they're talking about. And there's, hopefully, with any luck, there will be 2 counselors, like a counselor and a junior counselor per group. It's really important to me, and I will be looking for this, that you are like patrolling quadrants, like the lifeguards do down at the beach. I'm gonna watch the tetherball court and the left side of the basketball court. You watch the right side of the basketball court and the water area, and keep an eye on anyone who's going to the bathroom. All right? Come up with that plan, talk to each other, and decide who's watching who and who's paying attention to what. Or, Jimmy's having a really rough morning. I'm going to kind of stick close by to him. He needs a guardian angel today, because I saw him push 2 kids earlier. So Jimmy's having a rough day and needs a little redirection. And a counselor can take that on, and should. All right. So bullies don't like to get caught. That's the thing. So if they think you're not watching, that's when they're going to strike. Okay. So where are we? There we are. So if you see the behaviors that we've described, and I just mentioned the words guardian angel, that's what I'm talking about. If you see problematic behaviors and a kid that needs a lot of redirection, one of the counselors should be a guardian angel to that kid at all times. You can tag team it. You don't have to, it doesn't have to be the same person the whole time, but you will know what kids need to be redirected and what kids need to have their behavior talked through a lot. It gets tiring. It really does, but push through, because you will see a difference. And you're, like I said, it's making your life easier for the next day. If that kid knows that you are paying attention, they are way less likely to do the behaviors. Okay. And of course, correct the behaviors as they happen. Don't be that passive counselor who just sits there and watch it go. No, don't do that. Get there. Also, don't be that counselor who's screaming across the basketball court at their campers. Don't do that either. Go over to where they are. Go over to where they are. All right, we also want to set them up for success. We want to make sure that the kids know that they have support in place. At the very first day, every very first minute you're meeting your kids, be like, hey, I am here for you. I'm here for you. Any problems you have, come talk to me, we'll solve them. We will solve those problems, I promise you. All right, just let them know to make sure that they know who they can talk to. Counselor, junior counselor, introduce them to the head counselors. Say, hey, Ainsley, this is my group. That's Ainsley. If you need help, just go talk to Ainsley or Chris or whoever else is head counselors. Amy, Rory, me, Scott, talk to them and let them know that they have like all these layers of support, people that they can talk to. It's a great thing for kids to know that there's so many people that are there to help them. So, if there is an incident, first of all, I want to just say something really quick about bystanders versus upstanders. I may link you to a bystander video too, because it's cute, and you are listening to me talk now for half an hour. So I'll link you to a bystander video, but a bystander is someone who just stands by and watches something happen. An upstander is someone who doesn't allow that thing to happen. We want to create a culture at camp where being a bystander is unacceptable, where people just stick up for each other, where we make it that there's a culture so that bullying isn't happening, because it's not acceptable where we are. That's our goal. Stay tuned for that upstanders video. Okay, so what happens when there is an incident? Because again, like I said, you cannot be everywhere. Kids act quickly. You might be tying someone's shoe and right behind you someone pushes someone else down to the ground. Like that, things like that happen. We try so hard not to allow that to happen. Oh, I forgot the cabins. The cabins are a prime place for bullying. Pay attention, resident camp counselors. All right, moving on. So again, incidents can sometimes happen. We just have to be upfront and honest about everything. If it happens and the kid needs behavioral intervention, bring them to the program office. We'll talk about what happens. We'll talk about the incident. We may recruit your help as counselors. If it's just like an initial incident or things like that, you guys can handle that. And then what you do is you just make sure you talk to each kid individually. And you have to assure them that you're on everybody's side. You know, it's because there's no bad kids. There's just bad behavior. So if you have a kid who pushed another kid down, that doesn't make that kid a bad kid. It just makes it's a kid who made a mistake. So you sit them down, you talk about the mistake. Hey, what happened? What led up to it? You know, what happened right before? And then what happened? How were you feeling when it happened? You were mad? So you were mad and then what did you do with your mad? I pushed them. Yeah, you pushed them. Next time, if you're feeling mad, what are some other things you can do? And then give them solutions if they can't come up with any. Come talk to me. Clench your fist really hard and then let them go. Take 10 deep breaths. Whatever your solutions are, I really am trusting you to go on Google and actually, that's an assignment. So now you have 2 assignments, and I'll know who has watched to this point in the video if I get the complete assignment from everybody. The first assignment is to ask me a question via email. The second assignment is to, in that same email, tell me 3 techniques that you are going to offer to your campers when they have strong feelings that could potentially lead them to a violent situation, okay? 2 assignments, question and techniques, 3 techniques. I want 3 of them. And hopefully I'll learn something new too, because I love learning new things. All right, so we asked the bully useful questions. What did you do? Why was it a bad thing to do? Who did you hurt? Ask them, like make them put the name to the person that who did you hurt? I hurt Jimmy. I don't know why I always say Jimmy. It's like my go-to name. What were you trying to accomplish? What was your goal? I ask that of my own kids all the time. Did it work? Like when you did that, did it work to get you what you wanted? And usually the answer is no. So what were you trying to accomplish? Did it work? And next time you have that goal, next time you want that thing, what's a better way to get it? How can we do it differently next time? So we want to make sure that we identify it, we put feelings to it, and we give them a concrete solution to their problem. And it's called just an exit strategy. Next time that happens, because we're going to get mad again, this is not like utopia, perfect, peace on earth world. Everybody has strong feelings, and it's going to happen again. So next time you get mad, how are you going to handle it? I'm going to come talk to you. Okay, great. I'm going to take 10 deep breaths. Fantastic. All right. And then on top of that, here's the outstanding counselor moment, people. You watch that kid for that next trigger. Kid takes a toy away, you watch that kid and see if he does those tools, or he or she does those tools. If they don't do those tools, you get there. Hey, remember, I know I just saw him take that toy from you. Remember what you were going to do to practice to make sure that you can deal with those strong feelings? I was going to take 10 deep breaths. Okay, let's do it together. I need to take 10 deep breaths all the time. So let's do it. And then you do it with them. That is an outstanding counselor. That is a counselor thinking outside the box, being creative, and helping kids have solutions for their future feelings, which they're going to have. It's a counselor who's preventing bullying. That's what you're doing. Great job. All right. And then for the kid that it happened to, like the kid that got pushed down, an apology is great from the person who pushed them. You know, that is kind of the way to fix a problem. Another way to fix that problem, it might be like the kid might be like, I was just mad at them for a minute, but we're friends. But it might be, I was mad at them because they're mean to me all the time. And that's when you have to do some team building. That's when you have to delve. That's when you have to kind of do some social interaction assistance with those kids. Just make sure that they are talking to each other. Make sure that they are, my favorite one is, hey, find 5 things you have in common. Find 5 things you have in common. Could be anything. Could be a favorite pizza topping, favorite ice cream flavor, favorite movie, favorite video game. Find 5 things you have in common and then come tell me what they are. And then they come, like my quickest one was 30 seconds. 30 seconds later, we have 5 things. We each have 2 brothers. We each have 2 brothers. We each have grandmas named, I don't know, it was like Gigi or something. Like it was so cute, so cute. 30 seconds. And then those kids were fast friends for the rest of the day. Did they have problems? Sure. Because we're gonna have personality issues. There's 8 to 12 kids in every group. It's impossible that everyone's gonna get along all the time. It's just unreasonable expectation. Don't even have it in your head. Just have it in your head that if there is a problem, you are going to solve it and help solve it. And if you can't, you have support. We will help you, okay? Try it on your own, of course, because I want you to gain skills too, but you can always find help. So on the office end of things, if you do have to bring a kid over, like if you've had to talk to the same kid 3 or 4 times about a behavior, bring in reinforcements. Bring in Amy. Bring in Ainsley. Bring in Rory. Bring in Scott. Bring in Chris. Bring in whoever you want. Bring in me. I'm happy to come and help. And occasionally we will have to write kids up. we have to write kids up. We have to call home. We might have to talk to a parent at a car, even without a write-up, just to say, hey, listen, we're noticing he was very handsy today. Maybe you can just remind them in the car on the way to camp tomorrow that we really have to try to keep our hands to ourselves and use our words if we're feeling upset. And then we do end up sometimes having to kick kids out of camp, which is not great. But if they do get 3 write-ups and 3 calls home, then it's goodbye for at least a little while. So it's like a suspension or an expulsion, depending on how long they're registered for. But we are here for you. Please set them up for success. Please make sure that you are asking for help if you need it. We are all about preventing bullying. There is no reason that it should get to that behavioral incidents should get to the point where they are bullying. If that does end up happening, we will handle it. We will talk to the parents. We'll do all those things that we need to do as a program staff. But please, please, please set your kids up for success. Be that assertive counselor and make sure you do your assignment. To remind you, email me, I think jvanacoro@camphurlick.org. Email me one question you have about the content or about a situation that you had or like an idea that you have. Email me something about a thought. And then also email me 3 techniques that you're going to give your campers when they need to calm down or when they need to deal with their feelings. All right. Thanks everybody for watching. I will see you soon.